Spirit level points, and we're looking at the outer Back Shu points. For acupuncturists, please pause and read. So we've got the Back Shu points at 1.5 sun from the edge of the shoulder blade, and the outer Back Shu points run at 3 sun. Each of the yin organs has its corresponding outer Back Shu point. You remember them by adding 30 and subtracting 1. So bladder 13, the outer Back Shu point is 42, bladder 14, 43, etc. Hark back to the Jai Jing, and they essentially treat the 5 spirits of the yin organs. Po Hu, the door of Po, or the door of the corporeal soul. So the character on the left, white, probably a picture of a ball of cotton. Some people say it's the first rays of sunshine coming over. So white or bright, which obviously represents the metal element. And the right hand side of the character shows this head at the top here, and then swirls at the bottom. So this is the character for spirit. So it's the spirit that's associated with the metal element. The other character, Hu, is for a door. So it's just a simple picture of a door, and it suggests something that can easily enter and exit. So it represents half of the character men, which we have in points like Shen men, heart 7. So it's just the one half of that. And that's interesting because the Po is said to represent the entering and exiting of the Jing. So this is a point where we can easily access the Po. So our Po represents our relationship to our physical body, especially in the realm of bodily sensations and instincts when these are too much or too little. So we can use this point to help us reconnect with our body, or if our system is oversensitive. Next we have bladder 44, which is Shen Tang, Shen Hall, and this is the outer point for the heart. So if we look at the character, the left hand side shows an altar and the right hand side shows lightning coming down. So the altar gives the image of communicating upward with the gods, and lightning gives the image of the gods communicating back down to us. So that's how this character's split into 2. The second character, Tang, is for hall, specifically the main hall of a house or a court of law, and it shows stamped earth at the bottom, so an earthen floor, mouths, hence communicating, and a roof, which would originally have come down all the way to the bottom. So our Shen is the individual soul or spirit, so compare with Ling, the spiritual essence that survives death, and because it means God, it's come to mean godly and divine, and because of that, unusual. Tang is interesting because it suggests residence. This is where we can root the spirit in, give it its residence or its main hall, and also control the image of the court of law. Next we have the outer Back Shu of the liver, Hun Men, or the Hun or ethereal soul gate. So if we look at the character, on the left hand side we have a cloud, and on the right hand side we have this same image of a head and swirls. So the idea of intellect without form, perhaps. So this is the spirit that has to do with the heavens. And the other character is Men, which is a gateway. So before we had Hu, which was a door, and this is a double door, but it still suggests easily being able to come through, pass through in both directions. So we actually have 3 Hun, one for each of the 3 Dantian, and whenever we get the number 3, we always think of heaven, earth and man, so 3 being the number of chi and of movement, of action. And of course the Po and the Hun make up a yin and yang pair, the earthly and the ethereal, that join at birth, become locked together and hold us in the 2 aspects of our body, making up a complete whole. So the Hun represents our dreams in terms of our sleep, but also our dreams in terms of our imagination and separating reality from the imagined, and dreams in terms of aspiration and vision, and represents the blueprint of who we are, our kind of potential. Gate of the Hun represents a place where this aspect of our spirit can easily be reached. So we can use this point for nightmares, sleepwalking, sleep talking, We can use this to stimulate intuition, imagination, and connecting with our higher consciousness, our higher purpose. So next, bladder 49, the spleen outer back shu point, dwelling or ideation dwelling. If we look at the character, we've got a man standing his ground to establish a mouth and a heart, to speak your heart, or to speak your mind, speak your thoughts. On one level, this represents ideation, our ability to form thoughts, opinions, or intentions. Another way of thinking about this, which we do in Qigong and Tai Chi, is that the E is being mindful or being in the moment when it's at its best, the best expression of it, compared to Shen, which is being in our thoughts or our minds or our emotions. The character Shi is a house or an abode, picture of a roof, and straw in the middle, which is hard to see in the modern form, and an entranceway. It's the dwelling place of the E, or the intent or thought, so we can use it for overthinking, worry, muddliness, muzzy head, and we can use it to stimulate thought. Bladder 52, dwelling, is the outer back shu point of the kidney, and I remember the and what it does by remembering it's what's on one's mind. So this can be a drive, your willpower, determination. It can be memory, hence used for to record. It can be your emotion, mind or affect. And when we talk about the 5 this is the Hun, the Po, the Shen, that 5. And it can be spirit in terms of our capacity to think, feel, respond. So it can be used interchangeably sometimes with Shen. The character for Zhi shows a footprint, or to go. It used to look more like that. And the heart, or our mind. So it's the bit of our mind that makes us go. And the problems with Zhi are usually doing too much, wanting to go too much drive, or not enough. And we're trying to balance it out. The character for Shi shows it's a chamber or a room. So we have the ground at the bottom, and then we've got an arrow pointing into the ground, so this means to arrive, and then we've got a roof, which originally the walls would have gone all the way down to the side, so to arrive at a lodging. It's the dwelling place of the Zhi, where we can reach it, to treat too much or too little drive or ambition. And interestingly, the Shen sits in the Tang, which is the Great Hall, and the Zhi is in the chamber behind the Great Hall, so a less important place. Next out is bladder 43, which is the vitals back shu point, which is the back shu point that corresponds to the pericardium. Gao Huang is a very old idea that represents the area in between the heart and diaphragm where very chronic, stubborn, untreatable disease resides. The character for Gao shows tall or rich, like a tower, which is this upper bit, and flesh at the bottom here, which shows that it's the body part which is to do with richness. So fat, fatty tissue, and also it's used in herbal medicine for cream, paste or ointment. The character Huang is this vital area between the heart and the diaphragm. The top is to die or to hide, and the bottom is flesh. Shu, to transport, is to assemble a canoe to cross a river. We know this character because it's a general term for an acupuncture point, but also specifically for the Shu transporting points and for the back shu points. This point's used to treat the spirit when there's great deficiency, when there's the yuan, qi and jing have been depleted. Thanks for listening. This is the dictionaries that I used, and the numbers represent where the point names come from. And here's some other of the source text that I used.